let's just touch a bit on charging points, because that's something else we need to discuss. Yes, this can be charged via a normal domestic home plug, but can you do a long trip with this?
Not at this stage, I don't believe. Unless they get charging points in some of the key strategic areas, I don't think the range on this vehicle is suitable for long distance driving. But then again, I don't think the vehicle's designed for that either. It's a commuter's vehicle, and if you use it as that, then it's fine. I mean, the big thing on everybody's lips is range anxiety.
Especially in South Africa.
No, 100%. But at the end of the day, who travels longer than 200 kilometers to work and back?
So all you technically need is a charging station at your office. You would be there for an indeterminate amount of time, but it would charge the vehicle. On a fast charge, they've mentioned that it takes 2 hours to charge?
Well, the fast charger is actually 36 minutes.
Wow.
But you do get high power chargers that you can have fitted at your house that will charge it at 80% in about 3.5 hours. So that's pretty quick. Otherwise, a normal standard 220 3-pin plug will take about 8 hours to charge the battery to its full capacity.
Which offsets, coming back to, I mean, we've seen with the international reviews on the vehicle, it actually has charging points on the nav system.
Yes. What's very cool with that, which we can't see here, is that you have a green circle that indicates the radius of range that you have and all the charging points within that green circle. We're not there yet in South Africa, but I've got to say that, when cars were first introduced with internal combustion engines, there weren't fuel stations all over the place either.
Correct.
And it's just a matter of time before we blink. We'll have thousands of charging stations around the country, and the discussion we're having at the moment in terms of range anxiety will be a thing of the past.
Well, they have to move towards the green economy. I mean, this is where the entire world is moving. And what do you think of the interior?
I'm loving the interior. As I said earlier, I enjoy the fact that they've retained some of the key Mini elements interior-wise.
Yeah, you will not mistake yourself for not being in a Mini. You would recognize this car and you'd feel it.
And you feel like you are in a fighter jet with the toggle switches that they've got.
Electric Top Gun.
Electric Top Gun.
No, but overall, and the seats ergonomically, they're easy to work with, the usual sort of Mini comfort levels.
I've got to say this much. As you guys know, I'm a little bit anal at the moment, hip-wise and leg-wise. And I'm incredibly comfortable in the seat. It's holding me nicely, so when we're going around the corners, I'm not feeling any discomfort. So I'm pretty impressed with the comfort of the vehicle. You've had more experience with Minis than I have. So for the Mini fans out there, are they going to be pleased with the electric Mini, or are they going to be disappointed compared to their normal experiences with the Mini?
I think, Peter, there's two options on this. I think the first is, if you're a Mini performance fan, this is not a John Cooper work, so it's not a performance Mini. On the other side, if you're a commuter urban fan of the Mini, this will tick all the boxes. Aesthetically, it's appealing. It's got curbside appeal. It really looks, it's an eye catcher from what we've noticed with just civilians that we've been driving past. So yes, it does tick the boxes, not as a performance car. It does have all the stability and road comforts of the standard Mini. So I think in that area, it retains its Mini fandom, so to speak.
Well, I've got to say, I've been impressed with the actual handling of the vehicle. I mean, we've taken some of these corners quite aggressively, and also it's handling the bumps of the road beautifully as well. So not often that you get a vehicle that handles well and is still comfortable. And I think that talks a lot to the fact that there's a low center of gravity on this vehicle because the batteries are situated right at the bottom of the chassis. And so they were able to still retain some sort of softness on the suspension.
Also, what's impressive that you've touched on now is the silence of the car initially is disturbing, then you get used to it and you actually can drive very comfortably with this, in this sort of sound environment.
Well, I'll tell you what, on that point, as we finish off this test drive, one of the things that does stand out for me is when you're at a robot and all the other vehicles are next to you, and you suddenly realized that you've arrived in the 21st century, because it's quite archaic now to hear the internal combustion engines clattering around you, and here you are in this perfectly quiet environment.
Wow, what a day. I must say, I thought the cars started growing on me more and more and more, and it became more and more fun to drive.
Absolutely, and I mean, again, like you, the more I drove it, the more I liked it. I can really get used to this.
It's amazing because considering when we started this, we were both going, electric, how much of fun is it? But
Yeah.
it handles, it stops. I love the high energy recharge option. It's very cool.
And despite the fact that we were heavy-footed on this, we've still got a lot of charge left out of this battery, which surprised me.
Yeah, that is very surprising. So Peter, what is under this bonnet?
Well, let's have a look. What were you expecting?
I was expecting another boot.
No. Here's actually where the electric motor is. So if we just take this cover off.
So why did I think it's only batteries? The batteries drive.
So the batteries are actually located on the floor plan of the vehicle. So nice and low down, that's why it's got a low center of gravity. But here you can see, here's the power plant of the Mini.
And how is this different from Tesla, for example? Because that's got a whole lot of
Smaller batteries, yeah. So in fact, I've got an example of the type of arrangement that Tesla uses. So Tesla use thousands of these little batteries over here to make up their battery pack, but that's expensive. What a lot of vehicles, including the Mini, use is actually a more traditional layout of lithium-ion batteries. So you'll see though there are less of these larger sizes that make up the battery pack.
So Peter, one of the questions on everybody's lips is, what would this cost to maintain?
Actually very little, Vish. At the end of the day, that's one of the advantages of an electric vehicle, is that really all that's left to maintain is a bit of fluids. So there are some fluids for cooling, especially on the batteries, and then it's just brake pads and tires, and that's it. So these cars are relatively simple and easy and cheap to maintain.
Very, very awesome.
Right, so I mean, that brings us to the end of our first review of an electric vehicle. What were your overall impressions?
I was very impressed with it. I didn't have any expectations because it was an electric car, so I was expecting low sound, nothing of sort of a car-like feel. But I must say the handling, the drivability, the stopping, the overall acceleration, which was much more than I expected initially, was impressive. I like it. I must say, when I started to where I am now, it's actually grown on me exponentially.
100%, and I'm in the same boat. I really, really am impressed with it. I think that the people that are genuine electric vehicle fans that are out there are going to love this car. It ticks all the boxes. It's sporty, it's fun, and I'm quite impressed with the range that we're getting out of it as well. So overall, I think Mini have got a winner on their hands.
So they're well plugged in. Stay tuned for the next episode of
Let's Talk Automotive.